Welcome back, everyone. It's Eric from Rare Candy. Here today we are back on PTCGO taking a look at another deck for the Unified Minds expanded format. And I've kind of been liking this little dynamic we've had on the channel lately. Zach's been doing a pretty good job at covering the standard format, leaving me to kind of have a bit of fun here in the expanded format the past couple weeks. So today we're taking a look at actually one of my favorite cards in the expanded format. That is going to be Noivern GX. I've been a big fan of this card and of kind of this deck for the longest time. And it hasn't really been too great as of lately, like after the bans in Expanded where Hex, Puzzle, etc. got banned. That kind of allowed certain decks to creep back into the format and kind of shut Noivern out. But nevertheless, this was actually a deck I played at a Expanded Regional, did decently with it. Just for the longest time, I've always liked this card. Noivern GX came out in Burning Shadows, came out in the same set as Gardevoir GX, so it never really had a great chance to shine in Standard, and it Expanded. It's always just kind of been hit or miss. It literally had one tournament where I was convinced it was like the best deck in format, and even still then it was just kind of a rogue, under the radar type of thing. But I do think this deck gets a little bit better for Unified Minds. I still don't think this is probably tier 1 in the new expanded format, but nevertheless I do think it has a lot going for it. So Noivern GX, if you guys aren't familiar with this card, it's a stage 1 GX, 200 HP, 0 retreat cost, weakness of fairy. Like I said, that was the big thing that kept this card from seeing widespread play for a very long time. But it has two pretty strong attacks here, and then one kind of like mediocre GX attack. It's a stage 1. First attack, Distort for 8, Dark and Colorless is 50, and your opponent can't play any item cards from their hand during their next turn. And also has Sonic Volume for a Psychic, Dark, and Colorless is 120, then your opponent can't play any special energy cards from their hand during their next turn. So this is kind of like the old, very old at this point, Seismitoad Giratina EX style deck that was pretty popular at some point several years ago, but it kind of takes the best of both of those different attackers, just kind of, combines them into one, pretty decent card that we have here. So since we have double Dragon Energy available to us in the expanded format, these attacks are actually a lot easier to get up and going as opposed to standard. So just for a single attachment, much like with Seismitoad EX, we can use this item blocking attack. Noivern, of course, is a stage 1, which is nice that we get the extra damage buff that Seismitoad wouldn't have. Seismitoad's only going to hit for 30, whereas we hit for 50. And we also have things like Altaria, as you guys can tell, to increase our damage output a little bit more. Sonic Volume also very good against a number of different archetypes floating around. So think of something like the Hitmonchan deck or Zoroark decks or Night March as an example. If you can actually successfully set up a quick Sonic Volume, you can actually shut them out of the game. And that's one reason I believe this card was so strong. Actually, it was the expanded Roanoke Regionals in the 2018 season, 2018-2019, or 2017-2018, whatever it was. Whatever expanded regional was like a year and a half ago. That's what I think made this card so good for literally like one single tournament. Just because you can like E-hammer away some energies and then shut these special energy reliant decks out of the game, which is really nice. Also Distort, very good shutting off things like Max Elixirs for your big basic decks running around like Pikarom, or of course like decks like Seismitoad. They're playing things like Hypnotoxic Laser as well. Just two very disruptive attacks that we have here. Boomburst GX is also kind of okay. Does 50 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. You're not going to use it too much because you do have to break your lock, but nevertheless, since you are just kind of chipping away at different Pokemon throughout the course of a game, sometimes Boomburst can take like double knockouts, which can be nice. But Distort and Sonic Volume, of course, are kind of the main things that make this card good. But one of the most important additions to this deck, which is the whole reason we are revisiting, is we finally have a Dragon Noibat. And that might seem very, unimportant, I guess. But one of the big challenges to this deck that it had before is you can't actually attach like a double Dragon Energy to a colorless Noibat and then Cynthia or N, whatever it may be, and hit a Noivern afterwards because it was colorless. And you would have to discard the double Dragon Energy. But since we have a Noibat, you can actually successfully, like I said, put down a double Dragon Energy and then play your supporter and find the other combo piece that you need to get your stage 1 set up. So that was always one of the things that really annoyed me about this deck. And now that we have a Dragon Noibat, that really fixes, I think, this deck's biggest like built-in flaw that it has outside of like positioning in the metagame. So the attack on Noibat's okay too, 50 for just a DDE. Isn't too bad. With Choice Band, we're going to hit 80, and with Altarias, you can actually, scale to 100 damage, 200, or not 200, but 120. So this attack actually can be relevant in certain situations as well, but the big thing is it's typing it that it's Dragon type. So we have a couple of different stage 1 support Pokemon. We have a 2-3 line of Altaria that might look a little bit weird, but we do have the Ditto Prism to fulfill the 3rd Swablu spot in a lot of matchups. But Altaria, of course, is going to increase our damage output by 20 for our Dragon Pokemon. So it has a pretty mediocre attack, not too relevant, but it's just, like I said, to make sure we can hit for larger amounts with our Noivern GX. But then we also are playing, let's say, a 1-1 line of the Trashman Car Boater. So this is a card I previously never played in any of my Noivern lists, but now that Mewtwo and Mew GX is in the format, I think this card is like almost necessary. Just because if they are playing one of like the more locking style of Mewtwo Mew decks and expanded with Altaria GX as an example, you actually don't have a great way at dealing with a Mewtwo Mew in those situations. So Garbodor is actually going to be really great unless our opponent has a Jirachi GX in play, just as an example. But even if they do, still going for a 2-shot isn't that bad. So let's say you Trash Lance for like 140 or something like that. Well, from there, if they want to knock out your Garbodor, they're going to have to break their Altaria GX lock that they have, and then you can like clean them up and finish knocking them out with a Noivern or something on the following turn. So, like I said, this is mainly going to be for the Mewtwo Mew decks that are running around. You could maybe cut this and play just like a Girafarig if you wanted to. I think that's also an option. Garbodor is nice against just a variety of different decks, though. Trashman is just such a strong attack in the expanded format. Then from there, we have 2 copies of Tapu Lele GX, of course, for that Wonder Tag ability. And then we have 1 copy of Marshadow for the Let Loose ability. So we play no copies of Ultra Ball, so something like Shaman EX isn't too great in this deck. But since we are playing 4 Mysterious Treasures, we will be able to find this Marshadow. And a lot of times it's not only a digging card in the way that Shaman is, in the sense that, let's say you hit a Noivern, but you still need an energy, Marsha helps you find that. But also, it's just a very good disruption card, going Distort, shutting off their items, and then loosing them down to a 4-card hand. Just very, very oppressive sometimes. That's going to be it for our Pokemon line, guys. Taking a look at our trainer cards. A lot of these inclusions, definitely supporter-wise, will look very common for the expanded format. We have 3N, that's going to be our primary draw supporter we have. So each player shuffles their hand into their deck, draws equal to their prize cards. So we're really not taking big one-hit knockouts. We're going to fall behind a little bit a lot of the time. So N, in conjunction with a card like Distort, with an attack like Distort, is just very, very strong, I think. So that's why we are playing the heavier copies of N. We are still playing 2 copies of Cynthia just for a generic shuffle draw 6, then 1 copy of Professor Juniper or Professor Sycamore, whichever you guys prefer in expanded, but just discard your hand, draw 7. We have a lot of moving pieces in here, so that's why I'm not a big fan of the thick Sycamore or Juniper count. But I wanted 1 just for those turns where we need to dump our hand and just dig to hit something important. 1 copy of Chorus as well. We are going to be operating with a full bench most of the time here. So just shuffle in, draw equal to the amount of bench Pokemon that both players have in play. Very, very strong in the mid to late game. Not so great on your first turn, though. We have 2 copies of Guzma. Guzma definitely going to be better than something like Lysander in this deck, just because our Noivern have free retreat, so we can always easily switch whenever we need to. And of course, we can get out of like status conditions and things like that as well. We have 2 copies of Bridget. This is going to be our ideal turn 1 supporter. Search a deck for 1 basic EX or 3 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. So we want to see this turn 1. You could maybe get a little bit greedy and go down to just 1 copy. I think that's also kind of okay. Now that we have the Dragon Noibat, it's not too bad to just play a supporter, then treasure for a Noibat. So if you really want to include like something else in particular in this deck, I think this is a cuttable card, or 1 copy at the least. But yeah, definitely, like I said, our ideal turn 1 supporter here. 1 copy of Acerola is going to allow us to pick up our damaged Noivern, throw a Double Dragon Energy back down, and keep our lock going. Definitely good against decks that are going to have to 2-shot us. Let's see, and then from there we have 1 copy of Teammates. Definitely a very, very good card I love in this deck. So you can only play if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, then search your deck for any 2 cards, put them into your hand. So previously, the big reason that I played this in the deck was because of that problem the deck has, like I mentioned before, is you need your Noibat, but then you need your Noivern, then your Double Dragon Energy, and sometimes a normal draw supporter won't really get you there, but Teammates can actually find that exact combo for you. So that's the reason we are playing the Teammates. We also have a pretty thin line of Garbodor, and only 2 different energies that Garbodor can make use of. So Teammates is going to be able to help fulfill that combo as well. So Teammates, definitely one of my favorite cards in the deck by far. Let's see, we have 2 copies of Parallel City in the deck. So mainly playing it for the blue side. Whenever you are facing that towards the player, they can only have 3 bench Pokemon. So it's just another way we can kind of lock our opponent in a way. I think there is merit to potentially playing something like Power Plant going forward in the expanded format as well, just because of Mewtwo Mew. As an example, I think that is definitely going to be an option. I actually personally want to play around with. I haven't gotten a chance to yet. So feel free to play around with Power Plant, but that seems also pretty solid as well. Just another aspect of disruption, like I mentioned, guys. See, we have 4 copies of Verse Secret to reuse all the supporters. 1 special charge. We are predominantly a special energy based deck, so we can get 2 of them back into our deck. 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher, just as a form of recovery. 4 copies of Mysterious Treasure. Like I said, really thankful for the Dragon Noibat, because now we can kind of go all in on Treasure. In the past, I've kind of played like split lines of Treasure and Ultra Ball, or like Treasure and Level Ball. But now that we have the Dragon Noibats, I think you just can go all in on this and play these over any other searching cards. So discard a card from hand. Of course, search your deck for a Dragon or a Psychic Pokemon, put it into your hand. 1 copy of Field Blower. So this is going to be good, especially, you know, since we have to have a turn where we get our basics into play before evolving. Sometimes our opponent can put down their tool cards and stuff like that before we get our item lock going, and Field Blower can kind of capitalize on that. Also good at increasing our Guard Boater's damage output as well. Then we have 1 copy of Evo Soda. So previously in my list for Noivern GX, I played a 4th Noivern GX to make sure we could consistently pull off the Noivern then Double Dragon Energy combo. But since we aren't really doing that anymore, or that's not quite as pressing, I'm playing 1 copy of Evo Soda in place of the 4th Noivern GX, because now this can effectively become a 2nd Garbodor or like a 4th Altaria. It's just going to be a little bit more flexible in terms of finding the stage 1 that we're going to need. 2 copies of Enhanced Hammer as well. So even though we have the ability to lock special energies, it's going to take 2 attachments to get that up and running. So if we are playing against a deck like Night March, just as an example, more than likely they're going to have energy in play already. So we need to go Enhanced Hammer, then lock them out of their energies afterwards. So that's the reason those are in there. You could potentially cut these down to play a Faba or something like that. But I've generally been liking the 2E Hammer. You can always just treasure them away if you don't need them in a particular matchup, or just Sycamore them away, or I'm sorry, Juniper them away, since that's the version of that supporter we're playing here. Computer Search is going to be your ace pick of choice, since we are a special energy reliant deck. That's usually one of the big things that pushes me towards Computer Search in a deck as opposed to Dowsing Machine, is because this is effectively a 5th Double Dragon Energy. So this is going to allow us to more consistently get our Noivern Double Dragon Energy combo going up. But discard 2 cards from your hand, then search your deck for any card. Pretty self-explanatory, very, very powerful card. Definitely going to be our ace pick of choice here. Then we have just a couple of other tool cards to round out our trainers. 2 copy of Floatstone, just to give our Pokemon free retreat. And then 3 copies of Choice Band to increase our damage output. So between this and the Altarias that we have, we can get our Noivern hitting for actually pretty decent amounts of damage. So with Choice Band, we're going to be hitting 80 with Distort. Then in Altaria, it's 100. Then with another Altaria, it's 120. So with that, you can actually 2-shot a lot of the big things in the format. Also, with a Choice Band and 1 Altaria GX, I'm sorry, not Altaria GX, but 1 Altaria, you can actually Guzma and knock out a Tapu Lele GX, which is going to be nice at, picking off those last couple prizes that you sometimes need to close out a game. Then from there, we have 4 copies of Double Dragon Energy. Of course, the lifeblood of the deck here can only be attached to Dragon Pokemon. Like I said, that was previously the big challenge this deck faced. But then it's essentially a double Rainbow Energy for whatever Dragon Pokemon it's attached to. Then from there, we have a couple of other energies. We have 1 Psychic, 1 Dark Energy. The Dark Energy, of course, can allow us to manually attack with Distort on Noivern GX. So that's one reason we are playing this. The 1 Psychic Energy can help us power up Guard Boater, and of course the Psychic Energy in Sonic Volume. And then we have the 1 Blend Energy as well. So if we have 1 Dark Energy down, just as an example, if we hit if this was, for example, a Dark Energy in place of the Blend Energy, sometimes we might not be able to manually power up our Sonic Volume or something like that. So the Blend Energy, having the flexibility of being the Psychic or the Dark, is just going to provide us a little bit more flexibility, and it gives us a second way to attack with Garbodor, which is one of the big things with it as well. So yeah, guys, that's going to be our updated attempt at Noivern GX, but let's head into some games and we'll show up how this thing looks in action, okay? Alright, so let's see what our opponent is going to call. So unfortunately, we do lose the coin flip. It is actually pretty bad with a deck like this because we can't really do much on turn 1. We really want to go first and get down those basics as soon as possible. That way, on turn 2, we can start attacking and item locking our opponent. So I'm going to hang on to the Trubbish here. I like to kind of conceal that if at all possible, especially since we don't know what we're playing against. It might not be that great in a certain matchup. So Marshadow, we'll have to see what this is going to be. This could be Night March. That would be, I think, a likely candidate since Night March typically does play Marshadow GX. So Trainer's Mail, that's another good indication that could be it. It could also be Peakrom. I think that's an option. And our opponent does have End. That's actually a bummer. I actually really did like this hand. We had the Leeway to get the... Oh, they're going to go for the Sycamore. That's fine. And yeah, this is going to be Night March, so hopefully we can show off our locking abilities with this deck. This should be, on paper, a really good matchup for us. I've played this several times. Not much since the updated, like, now that we have Unified Minds, but back when I was actually unironically testing Noivern at one point, it was just beating Night March all the time. So I think we should be able to do this, as long as we don't just, like, draw dead or something. And, okay, so are they going to get down a double colorless energy on the first turn? That would actually be slightly annoying for us. Because ideally, I want to just go 1 E-Hammer and then Sonic Volume, lock out their special energy. Okay, they don't have an energy, so I just basically don't want them to get multiple energies down and play in advance of Sonic Volume. So, yeah, we definitely put down Swablu. And we're going to go for a Bridget here. Now, unfortunately, we don't have an energy to get down. Now, I guess theoretically we could just go for the Let Loose. That's not terrible. Yeah, we're just going to go for the Bridget. It's fine. So I think we'll just do that. We have our Car Boater in there. We have Noivern. We have both Enhanced Hammers. That's very important to point out here. See, we have Teammates, that's also good. Do we have our Stretcher in deck? Because we might have to Juniper away our Leyway and Marshadow. And we do, so that's good. We have our Computer Search, so I think we're honestly in pretty good shape. Like I said, unfortunately, we did not draw our... we did not draw an energy attachment. That's the big thing that we kind of missed out on here. But nevertheless, we'll have to see how this goes. So one thing we even could do is just knock out this Marshadow. We could just like Leeway for Teammates, and then... because no doubt they have plenty of items in there, so... I actually really don't mind that, so that actually could be... but the only thing that's bad about that is that we aren't going to be... we're not going to be setting up our lock. That's the big thing I don't like about that. So I'm thinking we go in with Car Boater, start smacking our opponent, or we just kind of sacrifice stuff while we set up the Sonic Volume play, basically. Let's see, it's taking peak 12 they've used. So we're doing 190. So sure, we'll send up Ditto, and I think we're just gonna go for the knockout in this thing. I hate having the Leyways on the bench. That's the only thing I don't like about this. Well, it's not the only thing, but that is definitely pain. But I guess we can parallel ourselves at some point anyways. So we can Teammates here. And let's see. Car Boater. And our Psychic Energy. So if we hit a blend off the prizes, that could also be nice. So here we'll do that. Attach there. Sure, we can attach to Noibat. I guess that's fine. Just in case of an N, I think that could be good. And we'll just Trash Wedge. So 240. Let's see what we get here. So we get N. It's not the greatest supporter you get when you take 2 prizes. We do hit Blend Energy. That's actually very good because now that's going to allow us to potentially attack with another Car Boater at some point as well. Or we might have to just like attach it to the Noibat. And I'm probably just going to end it. So, I don't know how I feel about that too much. Ooh, that hand is pretty bad. Now if we get, trying to think. Looks like our opponent didn't hit energy, I'm assuming. If they're giving us the, like, heartbreak emoji. That would be pretty bad for them, I'd have to say. So it looks like they're just trying to thin their deck a little bit there. And yeah, and they're just gonna have to pass to us. That's definitely pretty good. So we'll just Mysterious Treasure. Sure, we'll get rid of Blower. We'll go for our Noivern here. So I'll just attach that. And yeah, we'll just sure, we can just attach, it's fine. Just in case of an end, like I said. And so knocking out yet again another Marshall. Definitely a big whiff from our opponent. And so let's see what they're gonna do. So they can knock out our Car Boater, I'm assuming, but... And they're going to end us. Ooh. Well, I guess our hand was pretty bad, so we'll take the end here. Okay, and we hit Verse Seeker, so we're in a good spot. And things are about to feel really bad for our opponent. I think we have this game, even if we don't get up the lock necessarily, I think we're still in a fine spot to win no matter what. We have... you know, a couple different like outs here, so that's fine. We just print the Noivern. We have teammates still in deck, so sure, we'll go ahead and evolve into Altaria versus Seeker, and we're just gonna go for teammates. And so let's see, we need our double Dragon Energy and probably just a... trying to think, might actually just get Computer Search and kind of sit on that. We could get like a Juniper just for the next turn, but I kind of want to give ourselves some flexibility in terms of what we're going to do. So let's do this, and yeah, we're just gonna Sonic Volume. So I don't think our opponent has an out. They could play Ranger. I don't think that's actually too unrealistic to assume. And we hit Cynthia. That's good. And so here, we'll have to see what our opponent's going to do, but right now, I'm pretty sure we have game. Our opponent whiffing the DC to knock out our Car Boater was just absolutely massive, unfortunately. So let's see, Special Charge. I mean, that's nice. You can put him back in the deck, but unfortunately, you can't put him down. So I don't know if our opponent knows what Sonic Volume does. A lot of people like think of Noivern for Distort, so they might even not be aware of the second attack here. And they're just going to let loose us, okay? That's fine by me. I mean, our hand was good, but I really don't know what our opponent could do to our hand that would help them win at this point, unfortunately. Man, so not too much activity from our opponent. I'm wondering if they have the double color synergy and they're trying to attach it. And yeah, here we get the victory screen. So we did take the double Night March. We did get a little bit lucky, our opponent whiffing the DCE, but nevertheless, we take those. Okay, so let's see if our opponent can win the coin flip on this one. Unfortunately, they did. Yeah, not a big fan of that, but hopefully we can get at least a pretty decent start. That's one thing I don't like about this deck, is that you like really have to go first in a lot of games. Okay, and we actually have Swablu and Bridget. We have the Raw Bridget too. We only have to Lele, so that's good. One thing it does make this deck a little bit better going second now is you can actually attack with Noibat if you choose to. Okay, so it's Crobat and Electro Powers. So what are they playing with? Yeah, what are they playing with? Maybe Tapu Koko? And just going for like a lot of like heavy spread damage? That actually could be pretty bad for us. So if that's the case, actually might get down the Ditto, because we need to evolve that immediately. We're probably not going to have the luxury of evolving mid-game. So I have to see how our opponent's playing, but this actually could be bad because we are going to be operating on kind of a full bench usually. So we're seeing a Mulga here. Is this Raichu Bats? Because they could be like... I mean, they used to be an archetype like a couple years ago, but... Just trying to think, what would have Nuzzle that would also play Crobat? And Raichu from XY is like really one of the only things I could see. See, I'm very confused about what our opponent's actually playing here. And they're going for another Emolga. What in the world is this? Okay, this Emolga has to get a Pikachu or something. Like, what are they doing here? Okay, so yeah, Raichu Bats to some degree. Well, I guess if they're playing Skyfield, they can then, once Skyfield gets bumped, get rid of all the Emolgas. But that just doesn't... I don't know. Bridget seems just a little bit better than that. Speaking of which, we are going to Bridget ourselves. Let's go for Swablu, Noibat, and Noibat, I guess. I guess we could go for the Trubbish, but our opponent hasn't played any items. I really don't see much need to really get it down immediately. So here we're just going to do this, and sure, we can just pass, I think, over to our opponent. So I actually wouldn't mind too much if they do knock out this Swablu. That way we don't have to find, we won't have to find some way to retreat it. Here we're gonna see Skyfield. Hey, that's fine by me. We have Colress, so I will not turn that down at all. So this is gonna be the Raichu from XY, just 20 times the amount of Pokemon they have in play. Yeah, or 20 times the amount of their bench Pokemon. So with Skyfield, they can hit 160. Then it looks like they play like Crobat to increase their damage output from there, Electro Power. So yeah, the only thing about this, they don't have room for like a lot of Zubats. That's the big downside to this Nuzzle engine. But maybe our opponent doesn't have a lot for the expanded format, and they're just kind of making do with this instead of like a bunch of Bridgets and Shamans and stuff like that. Could be. Oh, but they do have Tapu Lele, so we'll have to see what they're going to get here. Probably a Chorus, if I had to assume. So Chorus definitely going to be super, super good here. So even if our opponent does knock us out, like we could go for Chorus, but I'm tempted to just go for like Lele and go for Teammates instead, potentially. So I have to see what our top deck is. That might influence what we're going to do. So I'm assuming our opponent can find a Golbat. So if you guys are unfamiliar with the Golbat and Crobats, whenever you evolve into them, they're much like the Frogadiers and Greninja GXs that we have. You get to put 2 damage counters or 3 damage counters, respectively. So I think we should win this because we can eventually get our Sonic volume up and going, and I don't think our opponent's going to be able to ever one-shot us. Well, I guess they could if they have, because right now they're hitting 190. So with a Crobat, they could knock out a Noivern in 1 hit. Alright, so we will evolve it. We'll throw Noibat active, of course. Ooh, that's really good. So what do we get? We're going to, I think, treasure away this Choice Band for sure. To grab a Noivern GX. Let's see what we have in deck. We do have Tapu Lele if we do want to go for teammates. Let's see, make sure teammates is in deck. It is. So, what do we want from here? So, teammates for Parallel City would be good. So I don't actually hate that. That would help ensure that we stay around. So I kind of want to like make good use of this chorus at the same time. So for the moment, we'll go for the Noivern. Just make sure we don't get timed out here. So from here, we can go Treasure. We can put Ace or roll it in the discard probably. Well, yeah, that's fine. Sure, I guess so. So I wouldn't mind taking a prize at the same time. Team, like, Chorus could get us, like, everything we need. I actually think we have good odds of bouncing the stadium. That's the big thing I want to do. But if we do this, we have odds of bouncing the stadium and being able to take a knockout. So we'll do this. And we'll just Chorus. So we're getting a little bit greedy, but nevertheless, I think this is still kind of okay. So we did not hit exactly what we needed. We are guaranteeing a knockout, but we do have the Let Loose to keep digging. So that is going to be good. Evolve there. Still not really any item cards. That's fine. I don't think we're actually going to need our... let's see. So I think we'll save the treasure, I think. Get this down, get this down, and we're going to Let Loose. So we have Field Blower, Computer Search, and 2 stadiums. So we have, I thought we had decent odds of hitting one of those off of the Marsh Shatter here, or off the Chorus, I should say. So unfortunately, we did not get that. That's actually a bit of a bummer. But I mean, they're only going to have a 4-card hand, and we're taking a knockout on their attacker here. So I feel pretty good about this. Again, it's another deck that's just relying on like double Chorus energies and stuff like that. So I think we should have a good matchup against this either way. So we're going to promote the Emolga. Seems good. Has free retreat. May as well. So is there any way they can get a knockout this turn? So if they go Raichu, they're going to be hitting 160. With a Crobat, that's 190. From there, they would need some damage modifier that's not item reliant. So something like Professor Kukui or like Koga's Trap, that would do the trick. But off a 4-card hand, I really just don't expect my opponent to have it. So another Pikachu, that's fine. And a Sycamore. And honestly, even if our opponent does get a knockout, I still think we probably win this matchup. Just from, if we ever hit Parallel City, that's just going to be super oppressive. So, on this next turn, if we can find E-Hammer, we basically just kind of win, I think. So we would need to... Sure, we'll evolve there. I mean, we can Chorus for so much. I think we can hit what we need. Because if we just hit E-Hammer or Computer Search, that will get us there. Because we can get rid of their DC on the bench and then Sonic Volume. So we could have base rolled, but again, I think we just kind of win if we get this play. And we do, so that's really good. So we will... Sure, we'll evolve into another Noivern GX, just to thin it. And we're going to be Parallel City. It's going to be a really bad turn for our opponent here. I feel kind of bad for him. So I'm assuming we'll see them get rid of all their Emolgas. That would make sense to me. Alright, so we will get rid of our Marshadow. And yeah, we have pretty good board from here, and we will E-Hammer, get rid of that bench double colorless energy. And yeah, we will just Sonic Volume. So I think we basically just went from here. Unless our opponent has like a random Koga's Trap or something like that, or like a Hypnotoxic Laser they can just play down for 10 damage and knock us out, I think we're going to be in a good spot. Because next turn we can actually... I was going to say we could Ace Roll, but actually I don't mind just attaching to a different Noivern and just keep Sonic Voluming. So here they're going to go for an N. Obviously, I liked my hand that we had here, but nevertheless, we really don't need much to kind of keep this up. So they played N, so I really don't think they have a way to do this 10 damage. So they are going to set... I was going to say, if they had something like Giratina with Distortion Door, that could provide that roll, but that wouldn't even hit our active, so... Alright, they're just going to retreat, so kind of conceding they don't really have, you know, a way to do damage to us. That is cool with me. So we'll just attach to a different Noivern, that's fine. And, I mean, what do we really need anyways? I'll just Cynthia. We could Chorus and get 8, but we really don't need much. Or I'd just kind of save our Versus Seekers. That's fine, and we will Sonic Volume yet again. So even if our opponent takes a knockout on us somehow, we have a fully powered Noivern on the bench that we can just attach a DDE to and keep our lot going. So I'm kind of expecting a concession here. Actually, the Zubat is pretty relevant because they can knock us out with a Golbat. Do we have Guzma? We have not played a Guzma yet, so... Here they're going to end us, so if our opponent gives us an end here, that would, or I'm sorry, gives us a Guzma here off this end, that would be, that'd be hilarious. They did not give it to us. That's okay. So here they're just going to throw up the Pikachu. It's fine by me. And sure, what do we do? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll retreat. And what do we do? If our opponent... Yeah, they're going to go for the end. I really don't want to see these for the rest of the game. I really don't care what our opponent has in their hand. I basically just want to, like, make sure we can find Guzmas when we need them at this point. In case our opponent like tries to stall us by bringing up like our Car Boater or something, or an Altaria, we need a way to make sure that we can actually retreat if need be. So Stretcher, I think I'm actually going to burn the Field Blower. Not too relevant, and if we get end, I really don't want to draw back into it. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to Sonic Volume yet again. So what do we get here? Get a Floatstones, that's good. That's actually probably the best prize we could ask for right now. So if our opponent does have Golbat, they will be able to take 2 prizes, it's fine, but I just don't see a way for them to actually get those last 3 prizes they're going to need here. Now, if they do have Pokemon Ranger, that could allow them a turn to attack, but they would need to set up a lot to be able to go Ranger and knock out. They do have Skyfield, okay. So what else do they have? That's going to be the question. Now, if they do have a way to go for a Pokemon Ranger play and do like a ton of damage, then we might be in trouble, because we did see in their mulligan hand they did play Electro Power, so theoretically there is a way for them to take a one-hit knockout on this Noivern GX. But even still, I think we still have like a path to victory potentially. So we're going to see an Emolga, okay. Getting another Pikachu. Again, I'm not seeing any signs that our opponent has a way to actually get past this lock, though. Maybe they do. If they're still playing after all these Sonic volumes, it tells me they feel like they have some sort of win condition at their disposal. Alright, just a pass back over to us. I think it's like basically game over. Oh, it literally is. We have 2 prizes. So we can just Guzma Shaman. That is fine. Retreat. And just Sonic. Yep. And here we get the victory screen. So yeah, yet again, Noivern taking down another DCE based deck pretty convincingly here. Alright, so we'll call it a coin flip. And we do win. Definitely good. Will not say no to going first with this deck of all things. And okay, so pretty good hand. We have the Noibat, we have the Tapu Lele to grab our Bridget, and we have a follow-up supporter. That's like basically our ideal turn 1 with this deck here. And we're playing against a fire deck. There's been a lot of these like fire Mewtwo Mew decks I've noticed on the expanded ladder. So let's see how we can do. Now, I don't think our matchup against like the fire Mewtwo Mew decks are very good just because their energy acceleration is supporter based rather than item based. So something like Dark Box as an example, or Turbo Dark, and expanded is a much better matchup for us since all their acceleration is going to be with Max Flixirs, Dark Patches, and we can actually deal with that. But when it's a bunch of welders and or blacksmiths, it's going to be kind of difficult for us to deal with. So here we will go for the Bridget. Swablu, Noibat, and might just go for another Swablu here, or maybe I'll go for a Noibat in anticipation of our active one getting knocked out. But if they're starting with Lele, yeah, because they could go Lele, Welder 2, attach 1. Like, we could put down the... I guess we'll just go for the Ditto. That's fine. And then from there, I think we just pass on over to our opponent. So, pretty good first turn here. We'll have to see what we're playing against. Like I said, I have a feeling it's going to be something like a Mewtwo Mew deck. So, we're going to see Scorched Earth. Okay. Definitely have no problem with our opponent putting down the first Stadium card in this matchup. Also receive Volcanion EX. So, this might be... more just like expanded Rushizard. But yet again, even still, like, as long as it's a welder-based deck, I think Noivern's going to struggle a little bit here. Unless our opponent has a slow start, you never know. If they burn a welder on this Tapu Lele, I have no problem with that, though. Just going to see an Ultra Ball. Tossing away a few items. If they can just go crazy and ditch a bunch of their items, I won't say no. That way they can maybe set up, set us up a Garboater play at some point. So we're going to see Floatstone. Are they going to knock out the Noibat? So we're going to see Fighting Fury Belt. Yeah, they're playing down tons of items while they can. And we're going to see a Power Heater. Okay. So we actually have the Field Blower to deal with this. And we get Altaria. That's a pretty good top deck. We will... Sure, we'll Blower. We'll get rid of the Float Stones. I'm not as worried about this guy, because we can two-shot him either way. So we'll do that. We'll get down our own Float Stone. And yeah, we Parallel City. Do we parallel ourselves getting rid of Lele? And reducing our... I think I kind of like that, actually. So we'll do that, getting rid of our own Tapu Lele. It's going to reduce their damage output in the process. And then from there, we can just go for an N. So we need Noivern DDE. Let's go. And we do get it, so that's very nice. And we have the stretcher, so if our Noivern does get knocked out, we do have an out to, you know, have a way to draw cards on the next turn. So we're just going to go for a distort here. So right now we're hitting for what, 2040, 60, 80, 100, 2040, 140 with our Guard Boater. So we're going to get down a Turtonator. Turtonator is actually a slightly annoying Pokemon to deal with. Just because we're not really taking one-hit knockouts with this deck, and Turtonator has a very annoying attack Shell Trap, 20, but then we take 8 damage counters if we attack into it. So your opponent looks like they're thinking where they want to put their energy. So it looks like they are going all in on the Turtonator. That's fine. So I say 140. We need some more items in the discard pile. So right now we're not knocking out this Volcanion, but I guess that's okay if we just go for another Distort. Because, yeah, if we get out another Altaria, but I don't want to do that. I want to save that for a Guard Boater if possible. So we'll just Distort here. So we're having to 3-shot this Volcanion, which is slightly annoying, but we have our Parallel down. They're not doing much damage to us to begin with. Ooh, and we're going to see a Juniper. That's what I like to see. Oh yeah, we saw some items hit the bin there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. Okay, yeah. So we're in a good spot now. And yeah, I'll just I'll put down the Choice Band just in case our opponent hits us with an N. And we'll Distort, taking a knockout. Then our opponent, I'm sure, will take a return KO on us. It's okay, we can Lele for our teammates and take a knockout on the Turtonator with Guard Boater. That's the game plan, at least. So seeing a Heatran hit the field, okay. Another Baby Volk and another Juniper. So our opponents are really just grinding through their deck. One thing that's good, okay, they do bump our Perilous Seed. That's actually fine by me. I don't mind getting down some more stuff at this point. I basically just kind of want to buy ourselves a couple turns, which we did, to make sure our opponent knocks out while we had kind of a mediocre hand. So yeah, I think we're in a fantastic spot after this turn, I think. So I'll put up Altaria since it does have the Float Stone on it. We can, let's see, bench the Tapu Lele GX. And let's see, go for teammates. So we'll definitely put down the Trubbish as well. And we can actually, I think, just take 2 GX knockouts back to back because we can Stretcher for the Guard Boater if we choose to. Gonna save the treasure because we have, or save the Guard Boater since we have the treasure in hand to fish it out. So we can grab a Psychic Energy and a Versus Seeker potentially. Like, what do we want here? That's the question. We could go for another Parallel City. I actually don't mind that. But, like, I don't even hate it if they do knock us out because we can just... Yeah, I think this is actually, like, perfectly fine here. So we'll treasure away the E-Hammer. Go for a Guard Boater. And so important that we played the teammates first because now we can conceal that we grab Versus Seeker. Because right now, from our opponent's perspective, it looks like we went for treasure and this energy we're about to attach. And so now they basically have no knowledge that we played the, or grabbed the Versus Seeker. So we'll retreat. And sure, we just... Sure, we'll attach the choice band in case of an end. I really want to save this hand, so I really want to deter our opponent from ending us if at all possible. Alright, so let's see. We get Dark Energy, not too great in this matchup. Double Dragon Energy, that's at least kind of decent. We will need that to attack with Noivern at some point if we choose to. So our opponent's already gone through 3 Versus Seekers though, so they might not even be able to keep up like all of the Welders over and over. As I say that, they go ahead and Welder to their Volcanion. That's kind of funny. But I think our opponent's probably going to run out of steam here if they don't reset stamp us. I think we're going to be in a good spot. Victini actually is a little bit annoying though. Yeah, Victini definitely seems pretty good, but I think we still win though, because we're going to knock this thing out going out to 1 prize. They're going to knock out our Car Boater. Then we can knock him out with a Noivern. Let's see. So play teammates. So we have Stretcher to get that back. So we're going to get an energy for sure. Like, absolutely, in this case. But beyond that, what do we actually get here? That is kind of the next question. We could just go for another Versus Seeker. I kind of like that. If... Or if we get reset stamped again, that would be bad. So maybe we should go for a Noivern here. I actually don't hate that. I might actually go for the Evo Soda in particular to make sure that we don't get, or to thin an additional card from deck. Or we could even go for a Marsh Shadow. That actually seems kind of good to me as well. So, I think we'll just do this. That's fine by me. So I think we're going to put the DDE back in deck in case of a reset stamp. We basically just want to make sure that we can hit a DDE on our next turn. So we'll go for the Noivern. We will Stretcher. We're just going to put 1 Pokemon from our discard back into our hand. Go for that Car Boater. Attach the Blend Energy and retreat, and just going to Trash Lanch. So we're trying to optimize our chances of hitting, you know, setting up for this last knockout. We just need to hit a DD, and we get another one out of the prizes. So really, you know, and we get a Verse Seeker. So these are great prizes to hit if we do get reset stamped or end or something like that. So I think that's definitely what our opponent needs to do here, is go for the reset stamp or end. I think that's their only path to victory at this point. Well, I guess not. If they would set up the Heatran and take a knockout with that, ooh, Reshizar would also do the trick. And they're going to go for the end. So, yeah, that's what we were kind of thinking. So we're going to get 2 cards. Do we get DDE? That's the question. And we get Cynthia, so that feels pretty good. We do have our Marshadow still in deck too, so if we do whiff the DDE, we do still have our Marshadow to keep digging. And they're going to get down to Heat Factory. Fighting. Oh, that's bad. Oh, does Victini have 90 HP? Oh, I thought it had 70 HP. That's actually pretty terrible for us, I have to confess, because I thought we can just attach DDE, hit for 70 and be good. Ooh, so we actually probably played that wrong. We should have grabbed a Swablu instead of the Evo Soda. Well, the good news is our opponent has all of their energy back in deck, so this Victini's not going to do too much to us. So what do? We can grab, you know, we could just Versus Seeker and assure the DDE. I actually don't like completely hate that either. So what do we have in discard pile? And our opponents not use their GX attack. So I think we'll just go for... Yeah, I think we're just going to go for 8 teammates here. Just guarantee the energy. We have 30 cards left in decks, so there is a world where we don't hit it. So I think we're actually just going to go for the DDE, and then we're going to go for a computer search, I think. And so we're just going to go for the Distort. I don't think our opponent's going to have a way to deal with this. So 3 Burst Seekers in discard. If they have another one, they're not going to be able to use it next turn because we are item locking them yet again. Oh, they do have Welder though. Come on, what are you doing to me, man? And they have the additional energy. Oh my god. See, I didn't think they even had another Welder if they're playing all the Verse Seekers. So I guess they should still probably play 4 Verse Seeker, 4 Welder. That makes sense still, but man, we lost a kind of a close game. I think we let that one slip through our fingers a little bit there at the end. I should have read Victini a little bit more closely, I think. Or maybe we should have gotten the Parallel City there at the end to bump their Heat Factory, because they did Heat Factory. And that may have gotten them where they needed to go. I'm not sure. But yeah, still a close game. Actually a bit closer than I expected it to be, though. So yeah, guys, that is going to conclude our look here at Noivern GX in the expanded format. Like I mentioned, I've been really excited to get around to testing this thing out now that we have the Dragon Noibat into the picture. You know, Noivern GX has been one of my favorite cards for the longest time. It always hasn't had the most like favorable metagame it's existed in. Like, it's always historically been like a solid card in a vacuum, but it's just existed in metagames that have been kind of hostile towards it. But nevertheless, it can still win games. Item lock is, you know, historically been good. Special energy lock is good against a number of different archetypes, you know, as you've kind of seen in this video as well. So like I said, just been really excited to be able to revitalize this deck a little bit here. But of course, if you guys did enjoy this content, feel free to like and subscribe, and consider supporting this channel by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or by picking up some merch from our online store, rarecandytcg.com. It would mean a lot. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.